Could you forgive betrayal? A man with a heart full of love and dedication has done everything to keep his relationship intact. But one day he realizes that his love for her might not be enough. Sudden changes, shady actions, and unconvincing answers start to make him question everything. A long phone call, sweet messages he's never seen before. Could it all be a trap? When the truth finally comes to light, he can't imagine where things will go from here. Will this betrayal destroy everything, or will he find the strength to walk away? All you have to do is follow this story to see the dramatic conclusion. Before continuing the story, tell me which city you are watching from. I want to know how far this video has come. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so I can send you exciting stories like this every day. Male 32, cheating fiancé, female 31. Let me start from the beginning here. Yesterday, I met my fiancée at our wedding venue for our 4-month out meeting to finalize details. We drove to the venue separately because she was leaving straight from work. Towards the end of the meeting, she let me know that her friend was dropping off her rental car and needed a ride home and asked if it would be okay. I said yes, thinking nothing of it as it wasn't that far from our home and I know her friend well. I get home and try to get in touch with her for the next 3 hours. No answer. At approximately the 1:30 mark, I texted her friend and asked if she had made it to her okay. I was very worried. My fiancé ends up coming home and says, sorry, it took longer than expected. She hung out with her friend for a bit before leaving. Okay, no biggie, just let me know next time, please. Her friend gets back to me a few minutes later and says, sorry, I couldn't make it to the venue. Didn't see your fiancé tonight. I asked her why she would say this, and she said she didn't know. She can't control what her friend says and walked outside. I'm sketched out AF by this point. I have never done this, but I looked at her phone records. Yes, I did and don't regret it. I saw that when she went outside, she called her friend that had texted me right after she went outside. I also saw an hour-long call with a number I didn't know on the way to the venue. I asked her what rental place they went to and multiple other questions. She had quick answers and they seemed legit. I thought maybe I'm crazy here. I need to chill and sleep on it. This morning I asked her to please see the text from her friend, asking her to pick her up, and I would apologize for questioning her the previous night. She said no. I said, when I caught up to you yesterday on the way to the venue, I saw you were on the phone. Who was that? She said, oh, that's the friend I picked up later on. That's when I knew for a fact she was lying. I said I looked at her phone records and knew that wasn't true. She then changed her story to say, oh, I needed to meet up with a coworker to discuss a patient. Who is the coworker? And why couldn't you discuss that over the phone? I need to show him the techniques in person. His name is Michael. Okay, I'm sketched out beyond belief at this point. We never lie to each other. I asked to see the text with Michael. She said she wouldn't let me see. I said, why not if there's nothing to hide? Are you having an affair? Do you not want to be together anymore? She pauses and proceeds to tell me all the things that are wrong with me. I work too much. I don't spend enough time with her. Don't listen. I'm astonished at this point. This is news to me. I put 2 and 2 together at this point. I know something sketchy is going on. I again asked to see the text. It took about half an hour of convincing to see these texts, and they were crazy, sexual in nature, and talking a lot of crap about me. Also, how she wanted to be with him and how they're essentially in love. She started this job 1.5 months ago. He is her coworker. He is also 15 to 20 years older and divorced with multiple kids. I've been financially supporting her for the last few months as she got back on her feet and was working extra so she wouldn't have to pick up a part-time job. We own a house which we both live in and 3 dogs and a horse. Sorry for the novel. I'm beside myself right now. I did not see this coming, and we were going to get married in 4 months. Any advice would help. Update. As an update, I was finally able to sit down with her tonight and go over this. Again, she came in trying to blame me for what she did, trying to justify the cheating and lying as a direct result of my lack of communication and listening. She said she wouldn't have had to start talking to this guy if I had been listening better. I spend too much time in the office working and don't dedicate enough time to her. I tried to explain that I was putting an extra hour to try and support her and the family financially while she was struggling so she wouldn't have to get a part-time job. She said she would have rather gotten a part-time job, which makes no sense to me. She was under the impression that because this was short-lived, 1 week, she says, and they only made out once, that we could move past this. When I brought up the text where she was trashing me and talking sexual with him, she deflected hard, and I got nowhere with that. I told her that I'm not the reason that this is happening. She went too far and should have communicated with me or thought about the implications first. That I can never trust her again, and this is all because of her actions. Whether she wants to try and justify this as my fault is up to her. At the end of this part, it got a bit calmer. I said, listen, we just really need to figure out the house we own jointly and the 3 dogs. We came to the conclusion that either I stay and buy her out or we sell and get new places. The dogs, one of us will get one, the other 2 to be determined. So that's where this left off tonight, and we'll continue to keep you all posted on progress. Curious what you all would do about the house. Financially, I can support it alone, but it is nearly 3,000 square feet and 5 acres of land, which was bought solely to have her horse. She is taking the horse when she leaves and boarding it in a barn. Wow, OP, I'm so sorry. I can't fathom why she would be looking at wedding venues with you if she thinks there's so much wrong with you. I'm sorry she gaslit you like that and made it seem like it was all your fault. This absolutely isn't your fault. She should have communicated with you about how she was feeling, rather than looking outside of the relationship for some sort of justification. If she wasn't happy in the relationship, she should have left and not taken it to the point of looking for venues with a fiancé she finds endless flaws in. Second update, day 3. I was able to sit down and have a 3-hour conversation with her tonight. We talked about our relationship and what led to what occurred. It started with her telling me what I did wrong in our relationship. Lack of communication, spending too much time working and on my phone. I don't disagree with any of these things. My mindset behind working so much was the support of our family. I run an e-commerce business on the side, and I'm a one-man customer service center, and deals happen 24 hours a day. I'm never not on the clock. I could have certainly been better about setting my phone aside and responding to people the next day. The lack of communication was on both ends. And a prime example of this is the fact that I was unaware she was unhappy with any of this. It was never communicated to me. She said she felt I would have gotten upset if she told me, but never gave me the chance to work on it. I'm not a perfect person by any means. And many times I do or say things that are misinterpreted by her as rude. An example of this is a week or 2 ago, I was trying to help her with a budget with her financial problems to try to set up a plan to get her on track. To note, I work in the financial industry and do this for clients all the time. So I had mentioned that she owed me maybe $1,000 and she would get that back to me next paycheck. I said something like, I think it's a little bit more than that. Let's go through the transfers I have made to our joint account. It ended up being over $5,000. My purpose for doing this was not to make her feel bad, but to realize how much I've been contributing. She took this as me trying to humiliate her. I was just trying to help, and maybe my timing was off. She told me I have been too focused on money lately, but I was only trying to make sure we were going to be okay. We still had quite a bit to pay for the wedding, and my budgeting mentality was on overload, trying to make sure we had enough. The fact that she keeps trying to justify what she did by attributing this as a direct correlation to my flaws really bothers me. She keeps telling me that she is surprised I would throw away 7 years of a relationship like this. I keep having to remind her that I didn't throw it away. She did with her actions. She told me that I told too many people too quickly, and we could have resolved all of this between us. She also said that she wouldn't have had to talk with someone else if I was a better listener or communicator. I have finally determined the extent of the affair, which I actually believe based on the text that I read. They began talking 1 to 2 weeks before via text. I don't know if they had met up before outside of work, but this time around he had asked her to the park to play basketball and talk. She met up with him and then ended up making out. I truly believe it didn't go further than this yet, but it would have in the near future, I am sure. She says he is not her boyfriend. She also took off tonight, and I have no idea where she is at, assuming with him or a girlfriend. It is an awkward living situation, but I am hoping this resolves in the near term. I do think she wants me to get back with her and try to repair that. I think that the main issue was a lack of communication that manifested for a long time. We got into a routine, lived our boring, simple life, and meanwhile, this problem was never discussed and grew over time. She acted out instead of talking to me and also lied to my face, talked a lot of crap about me behind my back. She can be very sneaky, and I don't think I can fully trust her again. Obviously, this would be the easiest thing to do, but I don't think I would ever truly be happy. Understanding the root cause has helped me feel better. If nothing else, it will allow me to address my personality flaws, communication issues, and see things from another perspective. I started hitting the gym today and will keep a routine going. I also plan on picking back up and studying for my CFP designation. I took the week off of work to focus on my mental health. Today I called the wedding venue and officially canceled the date. We were able to get some money back but lost a bit unless the date can be resold to another couple. Unlikely. I also spoke with her parents again to keep them apprised. They live far away and I am sure are worried sick. I continue to let them know everything is fine and calm and they don't need to worry about their daughter. I did some research and with interest rates where they are today, I will not be able to find a comparable house for the mortgage I pay for this. Can barely find an apartment for less nowadays. I think my best option is to try and buy out her share and have her find an apartment. She seems agreeable at this time. We will have an appraiser out to assess the value and see what half of the equity would be and if that is doable for me. My questions to you all are, does this change your mind at all about the situation? Am I handling this properly? If not, what should I be doing different? The audacity she had to tell you that she couldn't believe you would be willing to throw away the relationship when she was the one cheating on you? What the heck? From what she keeps saying, it seems like she's not willing to take responsibility for her actions. It sounds like she doesn't feel remorse for cheating on you with this guy. Perhaps she needs to deal with her own self and issues, really go inwards before trying to work on this relationship with you. If she doesn't, who's to say something like this wouldn't happen again, or she'd just blame you for the next thing? OP, there's a new update. It's been nearly a month since this whole situation went down, and I owe you all an update. Has been a very busy, emotional, and eventful month, so I'm not going to lie. The few days after this happened to me, I was a pathetic mess groveling to get back with this cheating POS. It's embarrassing to admit, but it happened, and it was all part of the process of moving on. While in this vulnerable state, I tried everything I could do things right to make things better, but nothing worked. I was actually told that she had to make a decision, me or him, and she did the right thing choosing him. I think that's when I woke up and realized I had let my self-worth go down the drain, and I needed to take a step back and really focus on me and what was best for me. It is hard after 7 years of doing everything for someone else to focus on your own needs, but that's exactly what I've been doing since. I moved our joint savings accounts to my individual checking account. I did the math of what was owed to me and transferred half of the balance back to the joint account for her to take. I have been working out every day since this happened. It makes me feel good to not only improve how I look, but helps me continue to think clearly. I've gone suit shopping for a massage, out with friends and family. Not only was this relationship isolating of my friends and family, which should have been a huge red flag, but I never did anything for myself. Buying clothes is just not something I would do. I was always worried about providing for my significant other and animals. I've been seeing a therapist for the first time in my life on a weekly basis. It helps me talk things out in my decision-making. It is something I will probably continue to do after the situation resolves, just to continue to improve myself. Now for the bigger items. I'm still living in the house with the ex. She is sleeping in the guest bedroom, and we are at a point where the only communication is, "Did you feed the dogs?" I think she is a terrible person, and no matter what I say, in her mind, this is my fault. To accuse someone of being a bad communicator and then using that as an excuse to then not communicate her feelings to me and cheat is her being a hypocrite and an easy out in her delusional mind. I stopped bothering trying to reason with her because she is unreasonable. I have been keeping the ball rolling with listing our house for sale. I contacted an agent, had them come, and was happy with the proposed sale price. She then requests that I contact 2 other agents and get their opinions, one of which was recommended by her friend. Yes, I made all the calls, set up all the appointments, and met with these people. This is how the relationship always was, and even though it's not fair, I have been willing to do it all to get the hell out of here. After meeting with all three, we ended up going with the first agent. Pictures were taken on Sunday and the house was lifted for sale Sunday night. Open house next Saturday, already getting a lot of attention on the real estate sites. She will be taking the horse to a barn somewhere to be determined. I had a conversation about the doys and offered to take one or none. She said she would take all three of them to keep them together. They're a happy bunch and I don't want to fight over taking one if that will break them up. It also selfishly allows me to pursue a clean start. Unexpectedly, I met someone about a week ago that I've been spending quite a bit of time with. I have no false expectations here, but I'm enjoying hanging out with her. She's been through a similar situation in the past and has been helping me through this. It's really eye-opening speaking with a kind, thoughtful, and independent woman. It makes me realize what a narcissist my ex was. Completely self-centered, dependent, and manipulative. I should have listened to the warnings from family and friends long ago. I definitely fell into the trap of being in a simple routine. I wasn't enjoying life. It was just an easy situation to be in. Nice house, lots of land, great animals, didn't want to rock the boat. So I just continued on. You don't really realize this until you take a step back and truly reflect. Some might say it was a wasted time, but I am really using this as a learning experience. I will not ignore red flags in the future. I will not fall into a simplicity trap. I will continue to maintain relationships with my friends and family. I just want to end this with a huge shout out to everyone on here that commented on my original post. I posted on Reddit because I had no idea what to do. Those of you that took the time to try and help a complete stranger on Reddit are amazing. I read every single comment and they all helped me get to where I am now. I'm looking forward to the next chapter of my life, wherever it takes me. Thank you all, truly. Imatro says, so relieved the fiancé picked the affair partner. This poor guy might have stayed trapped in that relationship forever if she hadn't. Old Ladies Die Hard chimes in. Please, sir, can I have some more? I'm just thankful he found out before the wedding. Ex and affair partners deserve one another. She'll probably be back later, whining about what she's lost. Despite it all, it is nice to hear that you're moving on in your own way, OP. In the days following the discovery of the betrayal, I found myself trapped in what seemed like an endless nightmare. The shock of what I had just uncovered was overwhelming. How could someone I had loved so deeply, someone I trusted completely, do this to me? All the things I had believed to be strong and unshakable in my life, all the plans I had made for our future, suddenly crumbled before my very eyes. The foundation of everything I thought we had together was shattered, and all I could do was sit there, paralyzed by disbelief, in utter shock, unsure of how to move forward or what to do next. Nights were the hardest. I would sit quietly in the silence of the house, the very space that was once filled with warmth and love, now feeling cold and empty. I stared at the photos of us, the happy moments we once shared, the memories that now felt like sharp wounds in my heart. The pain that came with these realizations was unlike anything I had ever felt before. It was not just the pain of betrayal, but the deep ache of loss. I had given everything I had to build a future with her. I worked tirelessly, sacrificing my own time, energy, and well-being, all in the hope of securing a stable, comfortable life for us. I wanted to give her everything she needed, everything she deserved, so that she wouldn't have to worry about money, so she could focus on what truly mattered to her. And yet, despite all of that, when I failed to give her enough of my time, when my work, which I did for us, took priority, what I got in return was nothing but betrayal. During this incredibly challenging time, I found myself reaching out to my closest friends, the ones I trusted the most, as I desperately needed someone to confide in. I knew that they were the people who could offer some sense of comfort and understanding during this whirlwind of emotions that had overwhelmed me. I needed someone to listen, someone who could perhaps offer me guidance, or at the very least, share in the pain I was feeling. They were there for me in ways I hadn't expected but truly needed. Their words of support were a lifeline, a steady anchor in a sea of confusion and heartbreak. One of my oldest and dearest friends, a person I had known for many years and always considered a brother, shared something with me that would echo in my mind for a long time. He said, "We can't change the past, but we can decide our future." These words struck me deeply, more than I could have imagined. They were like a light in the overwhelming darkness that had descended upon me. At that moment, I realized no matter how painful the past had been, no matter how much I was hurting, I still had the power to move forward. I couldn't change what had happened, but I could still take control of my life. I could still choose my path, shape my future, and decide where I wanted to go from here. It was a humbling but powerful realization that I had the strength to carry on, to keep moving forward with my life, even in the face of such betrayal. Another friend, someone who had gone through a very similar situation herself, shared her own experience with me. She had been through the pain of betrayal, the kind of deep emotional wound that I was now grappling with. With empathy and understanding, she advised me not to forgive too quickly. Her words resonated in a way that forced me to reflect even more deeply on everything that had happened. She said, "If she truly loved you, she wouldn't have done this. Don't waste any more time on someone who doesn't deserve it." Those words, as hard as they were to hear, made me stop in my tracks. They made me question everything, not just about her, but about myself and what I had been willing to accept. As much as I still loved her, and as much as I longed to fix what had been broken, I began to realize something that was incredibly difficult for me to admit. Sometimes love isn't enough. The love we shared had once felt so strong, so pure, but in the absence of trust and respect, that love began to lose its meaning. The truth was hard to face. Love, when it is not supported by respect, honesty, and trust, becomes fragile. It can't stand the test of time. Without those essential foundations, the love we once had began to crumble. I had been so focused on the emotions, on the connection we shared, that I failed to see that the very essence of what had made our relationship strong had been eroded. Trust, the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship, was gone. And with it, the respect that should have been mutual had been replaced by dishonesty and betrayal. It hurt to accept, but I understood that love, no matter how deep it may seem, couldn't fix what had been broken in the heart of our relationship. I made the decision to take time for myself, to step away from the overwhelming rush of emotions and give myself the space I desperately needed to heal. I had spent so much time focusing on the pain, on the betrayal, on everything that had gone wrong, but I knew that if I didn't take a step back and care for myself, I would only spiral deeper into despair. I stopped letting myself get lost in those painful thoughts and instead began to focus on something that could help me regain control: my health. I made exercise a daily routine. At first, it was incredibly hard. My body was weak and my mind was a whirlwind of chaos. Every movement felt like a struggle, and I couldn't shake the heaviness I carried in my heart. But I pushed through each day, even when I didn't feel like it, because I knew it was the first step in reclaiming my strength. As the days went by little, I started to feel my body growing stronger. I could feel the muscles in my body waking up, feeling more alive. And as my physical strength improved, so did my mental clarity. Exercise didn't just help me regain my health, it became an outlet for my stress, a way for me to release the tension and frustration that had built up inside me. The act of moving my body, of focusing on the rhythm of my breath, helped to calm the storm in my mind. It wasn't just about getting fit, it was about healing, about giving my mind the space to breathe without the constant weight of sorrow pulling me down. Alongside taking care of my physical health, I recognized the importance of caring for my emotional well-being as well. So I reached out for professional help and began seeing a therapist. Our conversations became a vital part of my recovery. She helped me understand that the pain I was feeling wasn't my fault. I couldn't control the actions of others, no matter how much I wished I could. She reassured me that it was okay to put myself first, that I had every right to heal and prioritize my own well-being. For so long, I had focused on the needs and emotions of others, but my therapist helped me realize that it wasn't selfish to focus on myself. It was necessary for my healing. Through our sessions, I was also encouraged to reflect on my own actions and mistakes. It wasn't about blaming myself, but about understanding where I could improve, not just in relationships, but in all areas of my life. She guided me in exploring the ways I could grow, become stronger, and learn from my experiences. This process wasn't about perfection. It was about progress. I started to see how I could make positive changes, not just in how I interact with others, but in how I treat myself. It became clear that healing wasn't just about moving past the betrayal, but about using the experience to build a better, healthier version of myself. One of the most significant changes I made during this period of recovery was learning to live for myself. For so long, I had been caught up in trying to keep the relationship intact, constantly worrying about what she would think and whether I was doing enough to keep her by my side. I was always putting her needs, her feelings, and our shared future first, to the point where I had neglected my own. But now, as I began to heal and reflect on everything that had happened, I realized that I had to prioritize myself. I couldn't keep living for someone else, constantly trying to meet their expectations while losing sight of my own. I stopped worrying about whether I was enough for her or whether I was doing the right things to make her stay. Instead, I focused on rediscovering who I was, independent of the relationship. I started to travel, something I had always wanted to do but had put off for so long. Traveling allowed me to break free from the place that held so many memories of what was lost. It gave me the chance to experience new environments, new cultures, and new ways of thinking. It opened my eyes to the endless possibilities that the world had to offer, possibilities that I had never fully considered when I was caught up in the routine of the relationship. As I traveled, I also made time to reconnect with old friends. These were the people who had known me before all of this, the ones who reminded me of who I truly was, beyond the role I had played in the relationship. We laughed, shared memories, and reminded each other of the joys that life had to offer. I took part in activities I had long forgotten about, things that made me happy just because they brought me joy, not because they were things I did for someone else. It was liberating to do things for me, not for anyone else's approval or for the sake of a relationship. Through all of this, I came to a powerful realization. My life was not defined by what I had lived in the past, and it didn't have to be defined by the relationship that had ended. My life was mine, and I had the right to shape it as I saw fit. I was no longer bound by the past or by the expectations of others. I had the power to create a future that was entirely my own, a future that I could choose without the constraints of guilt or obligation. Of course, there were moments when I felt a little lost, especially when I found myself in new places, away from everything familiar. The uncertainty of what came next sometimes made me question if I was on the right path. But the more I traveled, the more I realized how vast and full of opportunities the world outside was. There was so much to explore, so much to experience, and I was no longer confined to the small, narrow world I had lived in before. The world was wide, and I was free to chart my own course. I no longer had to live in the shadow of a relationship that had ended. I no longer had to live for someone else, trying to prove my worth or to make up for the things I had neglected. For the first time in a long time, I began living for myself. I was no longer defined by the past, by the mistakes, or by the loss. I was learning to build a life that was meaningful to me, a life where I made the decisions, and a life where I was the priority. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one where I could truly start fresh. In the end, this story is not just a lesson about betrayal, but a powerful reminder of the value of honesty and trust in every relationship. When we give our love, we place expectations on our partner, hoping that they will treat us with respect and loyalty. But sometimes the harsh truth is something we cannot avoid. Betrayal, no matter how painful, is a part of life that we must learn to face. In this story, a man gave all his best to someone he trusted, only to receive lies in return. This forced him to confront a difficult decision, to continue living in a relationship with no foundation, or to bravely walk away and rediscover himself. None of us want to experience betrayal, but sometimes these painful challenges are opportunities for us to grow and learn valuable lessons about self-respect and honesty. We cannot continue living in relationships that cause us pain, that make us lose our sense of self just because we are afraid to face the truth. Sometimes we need to let go of what no longer serves us to open the door to something better. This story of the man is not just about betrayal, but also about the courage to stand up after failure. He decided to cancel the wedding, sell the house, and walk away from this painful relationship. Even though his heart was broken, he knew that this decision would give him the chance to rebuild his life, rediscover himself, and move towards a brighter future. I find myself asking if we have the courage to do something similar when faced with challenges in life. Do we have the strength to face the truth, even when it hurts us? Everyone will face difficult moments in life, and when we fall, we might feel small. But it is in those moments that we realize our inner strength. We are not victims of circumstances, but the ones who actively seek a new path for ourselves. Just like the man in this story, no matter how painful those moments may be, he found the strength to rise and walk on. If you're in a difficult relationship or facing challenges in your life, remember that nothing is meaningless. Every experience, whether painful or joyful, helps us grow. Never lose yourself for anyone. Hold firm to your values and find your way forward, no matter how many obstacles lie ahead. Because after the rain, the sky will clear. If you found this story interesting and want to hear more inspiring tales, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. We'll bring you deep videos, meaningful everyday stories, and valuable lessons to help you grow in life. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family so they can also feel the powerful messages from this story. Thank you for following, and see you in the next video. Don't miss any moments in this journey of life with us. Hit the notification bell to not miss the next exciting videos.